There's lots of tweets going on at the minute about Ellie Reeves talking about abolishing grammar schools and private schools. It's something she's never hidden from. Get rid of them. They don't add anything to the economy. They're rubbish, blah, 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 blah. She's been very vocal about it. I mean, historically, so it's come to bite her in the bum because A, she's written them all grammatically incorrectly, which is embarrassing. And B, she's been, this was before she was at the top of the ladder politically, if you could call it that. So she didn't really care that much about what she said and who she said it to. Well, now it's all over Twitter, and she's been very, very clear. Abolish grammar schools, abolish selective schools, basically abolish anything unless it's a state comprehensive. And she doesn't see the need for parents to have choice. She doesn't see the need for anybody to say, well, actually, that doesn't work for my child, so I think I'd rather do X, Y, and Z. She's just like, just go. It's as simple as that. State-run education, you will be fed what the state say, you will learn what the state say, and you will work in a job that the state says you should work in. I mean, Bridget Phillipson's already started talking about children being skills pipelines. Doesn't matter what education you have, that's what she wants you to be, a skills pipeline. So we can see what the government's take on kids, how much they value children is, and yet they sort of spin it with, oh, we're giving free breakfast, we're doing this, that and the other. They're trying to make you think that they care when they really, really don't. And I know that lots of people are coming round to that now. I mean, I know there was a massive divide between independent sector and state sector, and the state sector calling the independent, well, some people in the state sector calling them posh and rich. Obviously not everybody else did, and particularly not the posh and rich ones in the state sector. But there was this big class divide. Bridget made it. She started talking about AstroTurf and embossed paper. She wanted the two sectors to hate each other, and she wanted the state sector to believe that the reason VAT was being imposed on independent education was so that funds could be diverted into the state sector. She wanted the story to be, they're so rich, they've got more money and they've got all of the good schools, we don't, so they can pay for ours. That's what she wanted it to be. But now, as we're seeing a wider understanding of what the education approach is full stop in Labour, then parents are rightfully going, no, I don't want, I would like my child to go to a grammar. I don't mind that I've spent a load of money on tutoring, or I would like my child to go to that good or Ofsted outstanding school. I don't mind the fact that I've just bought a house in that area 3 times over the asking price, because that's what I wanted to do. And you kind of, again, whatever you think, it just comes down to choice, doesn't it? It comes down to being a parent and wanting to be able to choose what you think is right for your child. And Ellie Reeves doesn't want you to do that. And Bridget Phillipson doesn't want you to do that. And Rachel Reeves doesn't want you to do that. And Keir Starmer doesn't want you to do that. They want you to do for your child what they think is best. So then you see articles saying when VAT was put on education, the human cost wasn't accounted for. And in this article, it goes on to list all the human costs in both sectors. And of course, we're talking about children who are having to leave schools, leave friends, leave in the middle of academic years, change GCSE options. Effectively, everything that they've known has been uprooted, and they're going into a system that the government have said can't support them, but they need to go there if they can't afford the 20% and the national insurance. Obviously, the national insurance is covered by the school, but the school passes that on. How could it not? Every other business is. But it's not okay for independent schools to do that. So we've seen that human cost, and now we're starting to see the human cost in the state sector, which is we know that it's got the budget, the funding for the state sector is at a 15-year low. So Bridget Phillipson has cut funding in the state sector, whilst on the other hand saying that all of that funding now needs to come from the independent sector, but the independent sector hasn't got it. But she's not sort of publicising the fact that she's cutting it left, right and centre. They can't retain and recruit teachers. So again, let's charge VAT on education and we'll have 6,500 teachers by the end of our parliament. But they can't even recruit the 2,500, which was their budget per year. So they've now lowered their budget. They've lowered their statistics on that. I think by 20% they're lowering it, but they're not telling you that. They can't fund breakfast clubs. So breakfast schools are coming out of breakfast clubs saying they don't want to be part of it because 60p does not feed a child. So in every which way and how you look at it, it's not working. But even though it's not working, you, parent or grandparent, are still not allowed to have say in your child's education. So even though two systems are being decimated, you're not allowed to choose whether you would like to be in the bad one or the slightly less bad one. And now it's grammar schools and selective schools. So they are next on the list. So before you know it, there is no choice. There is no other system. You will go into state education. And if it doesn't fit your child, if you have a neurodivergent child, if you have a disabled child, if you have a particular faith, if you have a child who wants to follow a vocation, if you have a child that's basically not SATs, then you don't fit. But you've got to go, and you will be fed both intellectually, academically and physically what the state decrees is right for you. And if they decree that that's 60p a breakfast and the curriculum will be whatever they choose it to be, then so be it. And any form of choice that you may or may not have had before has gone. And when we talk about the human cost wasn't accounted for in all of this, it was. So they knew this. That back in 2018, they were tweeting about how they were going to get rid of grammar schools and selective schools. And then, as we heard in the court case, when VAT on education was imposed in January, even though in the manifesto it was September to give people time to adjust, they were actively warned, told. I mean, the flashy lights came out, don't do this. It's the most disruptive chance. They were given three choices. January, April or September, and in the sliding scale of most destructive, mid-destructive, least destructive. They went for the most destructive, and they went for it because they wanted to get hold of the money, but they'd been told they wouldn't get hold of the money because they'd also been told that if they go for this, 54,000 children will move over from the independent sector into the state sector, but there is no extra funding for the state sector. But they still did it because they don't really care about what happens in the state sector either. All they want is you in it. Once you're in it, then they're in control, they're in charge. So they have to make sure that every other avenue available to you has closed down. So that's what's happening. And for all the parents that at the beginning of this VAT thing said, don't really understand it doesn't really affect me, you know, we're at the local comp and it's absolutely fine, or doesn't really affect me, my kids go to a grammar school, it's okay. It's not. And there was a lot of, I mean, you'll have seen me wanging on about it from that kitchen sink since sort of last September, saying this is you. This is not just the independent sector. This is every sector in education. This is you. This is your child. This is you if you've got a child in nursery and you're thinking about what school to go to. It is being reshaped like you've never, ever seen before. And the human cost has been thought through. They do know the damage this is going to cause. They're completely aware of it. What you don't know is that they don't care. I've never in my life seen somebody work in a children's environment like Bridget Phillipson does in the education sector, who has such a cold heart. I mean, she's not just tweaking a few things. She is radically reshaping an education system that puts parents at the bottom of the pile. In fact, they're not even there. And that old chestnut that we have a human right, we have a right to choose for our children, it's gone. It's going. They don't want you to have that. They do not want you to choose for your children. Whether you choose a comprehensive school, you've got your choice of 3. If you wanted your top one, they're changing the numbers. If it's an Ofsted outstanding school, they're going to cap how many kids can go in that. They're going to reduce those numbers, but they're going to up the numbers in the Ofsted underachieving ones, so that your child will have to go to the underachieving one. There is no choice. There is no appeal. That's where they're going. And the hope of that is that it drives the standards up for the other kids. But of course, Bridget Phillipson's not doing it with her children. They'll remain where they are in the Ofsted outstanding school. Would Bridget Phillipson take her children out of that school and put them in an Ofsted poor school and see if they rose the standards? Of course she wouldn't. She wouldn't do it for 2 reasons. One, she's got a stellar education. I mean, her kids are going to a school where it's almost an independent school, but the state are paying for it. And so she wouldn't change them from that because why would you? It's a cushy deal. And there's no way she'd move her children out of education mid-year, mid-education, because why would you? No idiot would do that unless they actually had to. You know, nobody moves their child mid-academic year or mid-education just because they felt like it. They do it because they have to move, or because they've been posted somewhere else, or they've run out of money, or the child is being severely bullied. There's always a very, very good reason to take your child out of education mid-year or indeed mid-term. But not now. The state can do it, but Bridget Phillipson won't do it. Not for her. It's good enough for you, but it's not good enough for her. She does not practice what she preaches. It's one rule for her and a very different one for you and me. And this isn't scaremongering. This isn't private parent lobbying. This is all parent lobbying. And damn right they lobby. Damn right. Why would you not lobby? Why would you not advocate for your child? Why would you not want the very best for them? Why would you not say, I'm not having this? Why would you settle for second best? And whether that is in, oh, there's that thing again. I don't know why it does it, but I do quite like it. Why would you, whether you're in state education, grammar education, or independent education, or homeschooling, or whatever education you're in, why would you not want the best? Of course you would. And you shouldn't be made to feel a pariah for wanting that. You shouldn't be made to feel as though that's a dirty secret. I want the best for my child, but don't tell anyone. Why not? What's that saying about family? What's that saying about our values? What's that saying about our morals? That we shouldn't care? Of course we should care. And of course we should be shouting it as loud as we possibly can. It's not good enough. We're letting kids down. We're letting parents down. We're letting communities down. We're letting teachers down. I mean, anyone who is in any way in contact or affected with a child and education is being let down by this government. And that's not just me on my soapbox. That's actual fact. It's playing out in front of our eyes. And if you don't see it, then just give it a quick Google. It's there for you to see. And it is terrifying.